I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Control for the City of Fairview Park to order at 6:46. Director Costello, if you could please take the roll.
Mayor Patrick Cooney,
Here.
Director of Law Tim Riley,
Here.
Director of Finance Greg Single,
Here.
Council Member William Minnick.
Here.
And I am present, Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We have minutes from our last meeting that have been distributed. That meeting was on October 19th. If there's any revisions, corrections, additions, please let us know. If not, I would take a motion to approve those minutes.
To approve.
Councilman Minnick, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Director Single. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is accepting lowest most responsive quote for sewer televising Cromwell, Parkwood, Bain Park, Haber, and Esther. Director Costello, if you could please update us on this, please.
Thank you. There are a number of projects that we'd like to address with sewer televising. Some of the streets will be included in future water line projects. It's important to make sure that there's no sewer issues or repairs that would slow production. So any improvements would need to be done before those water line projects would commence. Those are streets are Cromwell, Parkwood, and Bain Park. So those streets have been approved for water line projects. We'd also like to begin our televising of streets that are going to be a part of our EPA loan that you had recently at City Council approved. And so we'd like to ask United Survey for televising in the West 227 pump station area. We're requesting approval for expenditures totaling $9,000. And I just want to be transparent and say if there is any section in these streets that require heavy cleaning, root cutting, or extra services, I may return to this Board of Control for that approval, but at this point in time, I'm asking for approval of expenditures not to exceed $9,000.
And Mary Kay, that's the United Survey.
United Survey, correct.
Thank you. I'll make the motion to approve that request.
I'll second it.
Okay, so motion was by Director Single, second by Director Riley. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the item's been approved. The next item is approval for tree removal services by Topcoat Tree Service.
Yes, these are trees, 2 tree lawn trees located on West 224th Street. One was brought to my attention by Council Member Waring. It's a very, very large tree that is upended sidewalks and really is beyond what we could repair. If we remove those sidewalk blocks and cut those tree roots, it would create a liability for that tree in the future. Across the street and approximately 2 to 3 residents down on 224th is a similar tree, similar in size, similar safety hazards being caused by the tree. So we have asked Topcoat, well, we've garnered quotes from several contractors, but the lowest and most responsive is from Topcoat Tree. They have also included a number of tree removals throughout the city for our arborists Mike Varga, not limited to Timber Lane and Story Road, where we have also some dead ash trees near the Coe Creek on Esther, which are going to be very difficult to get to, and some tree companies would not even quote that work. So we feel that Tomco tree not only is the lowest, but the most responsive. So we're asking for approval for charges not to exceed $11,500 for cutting and removal of trees. A separate contractor will do the stump grinding at a later date. If there's any questions?
So Director, that's just for those trees on 224, not,
No, that quote is lower than some of the contractors that just quoted the 2 trees, but they're including additional trees that I mentioned.
okay, all right. So the ones along Coe Creek and then Timber Lane and Story as well.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve this service from Tomco, tree service?
So made.
Director Single, is there a second? Councilman Minnick? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
The item has been approved.
Those are all my items for this Board of Control. Thank you.
Okay, having no old business. Okay, take a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Okay, Councilman Minnick, second.
Second.
Okay,
Second.
Director Single, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at 6:53, the Board of Control has finished. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Liz.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Microphone okay, Liz?
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Bill?
Microphone okay?
Yep, your microphone's fine.
Good, thank you. Have a long evening.
Liz, sorry about bombarding you with a bajillion emails.
Hi, Cheryl.
Sarah, or were any of those requesting to have their comments read tonight?
No, none of them. None of them actually requested to have their comments read.
Okay.
So I just figured I'd put them in for, I guess, archive sake more so than anything
Right.
else. But no, none
Gotcha.
of them requested to have their items read or read tonight.
Okay.
I should have just been copying you on my responses, but I didn't. So instead you got a nice bombardment. I just wanted to be that.
I was like, okay, she must be forwarding me all her emails.
Yeah, all of the, I mean, this is the first zoning that we're doing. I want you to have as much record as you possibly can on our behalf. So
I agree. Oh, boy. So apparently the link to the meeting docs did not crunch to the website. So I need to repost that. But that's not your problem. I'm gonna add that on.
I'd like to call to order the council committee meeting on Monday, October 26, 2020. Council Clerk Westbrook, do we have any comments or requests to speak on any agenda item this evening?
On the agenda items, well, look in the, there were a couple in the packet that I sent with all the emails for the rezoning piece.
And nothing to speak, no requests.
I'm trying to pull it up. Hold on one moment, Bill.
I believe most of them were for
Is
next
fighting
Monday.
me all day.
If we have nothing, then I'm going to begin the Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, and Development Committee order. First item is 38, rezoning parcel number 321-29-027 from GBA to GBB. I'm not going to discuss at length the project. I'll just take brief comments reference to the legislation. Anybody has a comment? I would appreciate receiving it now.
Councilman Minnick.
Councilwoman King.
I just would like to know, I know we've received several emails. I've received 21 emails about this particular project urging me to vote against rezoning this. I know some of those emails went to all of council as well. But there is community outcry on the Facebook page as well, saying that we should vote no on this.
Yes, thank you. Any other comments?
Councilman Minnick?
Councilman Waring.
Thank you. I was wondering if we could get a summary from the administration on the economic input or impact that Jiffy Lube might bring or changing this particular parcel might bring, environmental impact on potentially allowing auto usage there, whether they've received any input from police or fire, and also if they have a recommendation for how they'd like to see that particular plot used.
Hey, real quick, I don't mean to jump in. I think Brian's trying to get in. He just texted me saying that he's still waiting on the host to let him in.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sarah.
Actually, these questions could be asked next Monday, Councilman Waring, unless you want something at the present time.
I mean, if they have something at the present time, I'd be willing to listen. If not, having something prepared for the next time we discuss it or for the public hearing would be acceptable. That's fine.
Thank you. Mayor Cooney or administration, anything reply with Councilman Waring's request?
Well, yes, we have not spoken to the developer about the project, about number of employees, and I know Director Costello had a conversation with one of the, I think the architect, but we haven't had any discussions with them, so we don't know from an economic development standpoint what impact it would have for the city. And, beyond that, we're just kind of waiting to hear what council, what input you have and what the residents have. We can look into those items for the next hearing and have an answer for you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Minnick, if I could continue. I just wanted to add for the record that I've also received, I think 22, maybe a couple more if I haven't filed them correctly yet, notices from the public on how they feel regarding the project. So I have forwarded those to Liz so that we can keep detailed record. None of them were asked to be read on the record, but I just wanted to indicate that I'm also seeing public outreach.
Thank you, Councilman Waring. If no additional comments, then I'll move on to the next item.
Councilman Minnick. Councilman Minnick.
Liz?
Yes, I just skimmed through the batch of emails that I sent to all of you, and none of them are asking for specifically to be read tonight, but there are a few that are asked that have asked to have their comments read into the record for next week's public hearing. So.
Shade tree recommendations. Which to previously reference to legislation as per the request of the Shade Tree Committee research request. Is there any update on that, Director Riley?
Councilman Rennick, you kind of faded out. Were you asking about the request for legislation about planting trees under wires throughout the city?
Correct, you.
Okay. If I can address that a little bit, and then I know Director Costello has some input if that's okay with you, Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Okay. We have talked about that, Director Riley and Director Costello and I. I know that there has been a change in the philosophy with respect to urban planning and the canopies, urban canopies. In the past, a lot of the trees that were planted under wires were, reach the height that we see them throughout the city and cause a problem, potential problem with the wires and throughout the last few decades, there's been more studies on what is appropriate to plant in an urban setting and examining soils, examining tree species, examining the tree canopies in a particular city to look at planting different varieties of trees on different streets, so that trees are more, healthy and vibrant. We recently contracted with Jason Knowles, who's a certified arborist, to conduct a survey here in Fairview Park. It's part of a grant that we received from the county. County Executive Budish has made a point of working on increasing the urban canopy throughout Cuyahoga County. And I think we've been pretty, thanks to the work of Planner Jordan and, our Shade Tree Advisory Committee, our service department, we've done a good job in looking and expanding that. So one of the concerns that we've had is, because of the nature of the build out here in Fairview Park, there's wires throughout the community, in the right of way, people's yards, easements that are given to utilities, that to limit that would be very difficult, and I think would actually negatively impact our urban canopy. So I think what we would like to do is be a little more aggressive and looking for the appropriate trees to plant in locations where there might be a conflict, if you will, or the possibility of wires, coming into play. Again, I know Director Costello has done a little more work on this than myself, and if it's okay with the chair, I think she could add a little more to this topic.
Thank you, Director Costello.
Thank you, Chairman. I do expect the report from Jason Knowles to be available at the end of this week, beginning of next week. And I anticipate he would use many of those items the mayor just mentioned, his studies of the soils, his research into tree varieties that will not interfere with wires. And I believe, not hearing this directly from Jason, but I believe that his stance is that there are proper trees for proper locations unless the environment around that tree wouldn't lead to its success. In other words, if a tree lawn is too narrow and there's too much impervious pavement, I don't believe that Jason Knowles thinks that legislation is required to prohibit trees from being planted under wires or prohibiting any tree from being planted anywhere, because that's his job, to guide us to make those proper decisions and choices. So I'm very confident that that he will provide us with that good information to make those proper plannings in the future. It'd be very difficult to offer people on one side of a street tree lawn trees, and not offer the same to the residents across the street. So I look forward to having that report and sharing that with the Shade Tree Advisory Committee, as well as anyone else that would be interested in it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Director. Share it with the members of council also.
Absolutely, we will.
Yes, sir.
Anything additional on Shade Tree recommendations? If not, as the council president is not available this evening, I'll make a motion that this remain in committee. Ryan?
Yes.
Maureen? Cheryl?
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Thank you. Airport noise. Mayor, you mentioned previously about Stephen Hopkins having a portal to handle the noise complaints. At the present time, I believe we receive very few noise complaints. Is there any update to that reference to the noise, Mayor?
No, not that I have. I know that I was hoping to meet with some of the staff there, but because of COVID concerns, we're unable to do that. I know there's, in Ward 1, I've heard from a few residents about concerns they've had with airport noise, but it's not something I've heard on a regular basis. I'm not sure if that's, other people have been contacted about that, but nothing recently.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's definitely less than usual. Part of that's probably because of COVID. Unfortunately, there's probably less air travel and traffic, so I haven't heard that as much for Ward 1 specifically. But I know we talked about doing something with like the FAA or even the Hopkins staff again. So yeah, I think if we could do that maybe in the early part of next year, would be good, I think.
Thanks, Councilor. Any additional information on airport noise? That I move that this issue remain in committee. Brian?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Did you call me? I'm a yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Lead paint safety. For our building commissioner, thank you, Commissioner, for being present. No resident has contacted his office to report an issue. Is that still a status quo? Commissioner Maynard? Maynard, you present?
I am, Councilman, but I have a hard time hearing you.
I'm almost kissing my microphone here. Has anything additional reference to the residents contacting us about paint safety?
I'm sorry, Councilman, again, I missed the last part of your question.
Commissioner, the councilman's asking if any residents have recently contacted you about lead paint safety concerns?
No, Councilman, I've heard nothing regarding that.
Is this something we might be able to just remove from committee rather than keep it in if there's no complaints?
Council President is not present this evening. Courtesy of issues remaining committee till the next meeting. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Here,
Yes. Did you have a question for me, Councilman Minnick?
no, I just wondered if you had any additional information with reference to lead paint safety.
No, we haven't been contacted either. We'll see that we reach out to the Board of Health to see if there's any recent reports to them. And if they have any records that they can share with us, I know they can't be too specific about an address, but perhaps, homes here in Fairview Park, if they could let us know if there have been any reports.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that this issue remain in committee. Ryan,
Yes.
Maureen,
I think you're muted, Maureen.
Bridget,
Yes.
Greg, you all set?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh. All right,
I'm a yes too, Bill.
community development. Mayor, you and Director Costello meet with members of the chamber. Reference to the possibility of some type of group here to pursue development. Anything on that, Mayor?
Well, again, unfortunately, that's one of those things that has been, stymied a little bit, not by a little bit, but by a lot by COVID. We have talked, to some local businesses about general plans. Also worked, we're in contact with them to try to help them through the challenges they've faced with COVID. But, to get a large group of people together for an event is just not possible. So we haven't done that. When we are talking to local business owners, we are letting them know that, what we would like to do is to have something a little more Fairview centric and to gauge their interest in that. And we've had a lot of positive feedback from people who own businesses in Fairview, from individuals who are residents and work here in Fairview, or business owners in Fairview, as well as individuals who are Fairview residents and have businesses outside the city. They understand the importance of a local chamber of commerce and expressed an interest to us in helping expand that here, again, as a more Fairview centric possibility. So, but we've met with a few people, but we haven't had any large gatherings. I don't know if Director Costello would have anything else that she would like to add, if that's okay with the chair.
Director Costello?
Yes, it's been an exciting time to offer micro grants. We're going to be looking into some new small business economic assistance, very small individual economic assistant grants that are going to be coming up for application November 2nd through the state. So we're trying to keep in touch with our small businesses. We know 13 of them benefited from the Cuyahoga County CARES Act funding, as well as over 25 of small businesses that participated in. So we're hoping through your good efforts that people reach out to us so that we can share this information. We're very good about getting it up on the website, reaching out to those that have contacted us. We have a great email list of those who participated. But we are, as the mayor said, looking forward to a time where networking and other events can be scheduled so that we can share those very important exchanges that work much better in person. So we'll continue to forge for information that'll help our small businesses, and we look forward to working with everyone in town. So thank you again for the time.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Director Costello. Any additional comments, reference to community development? I move that this issue remain in committee. Brian,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
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 Oh, sorry, Brittany.
and myself. Thank you. Municipal facilities maintenance. Major concern is the service garage. It's supposed to be renovated to house most of the service department equipment. The funding is being researched for this project. We also talked about increasing parking for the senior center. Costello and Mayor Cooney, anything additional reference to the facilities?
Well, you faded out a little bit. I know you did talked about additional parking at the senior center, which wasn't sure what the other items that you mentioned were.
Purchasing land from Littlewood Manor?
Okay. No, we haven't pursued that with Willowwood Manor. With respect to the senior center and additional parking, there were some things, because of, again, COVID, we weren't sure what type of activities we could have there. So we wanted to, see where things were going. And now that senior centers can open up, see where it's going to go. But at this point, we don't have any, update on any of that, unless the director has something that I'm not aware of.
The only thing I would like to add, with the chairman's permission, is that space between Willowwood and the senior center was seriously considered earlier in the year as a potential space to apply for AARP funding for some outdoor recreation. We had talked about some raised plantings. There's been a number of seniors that have mentioned an interest in a garden. So we were trying to think of bocce courts and raised gardens, but that AARP grant, because of COVID and pandemic, it was one of the many grants that kind of stopped their procedure. And so we never submitted an application, but it still remains on our radar as a potential area that we would really love to keep green, and but to program a little better for the seniors. So something we'll continue to investigate and pursue into the future. I have not heard anyone mention a lack of parking and an interest in parking. So that's the first time that's been brought to my attention.
Any additional comments? Additional comments? If not, I'll make a motion that this issue remain in committee. Brian,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Dr. Costello stated service division.
Bill, we can't hear you.
Okay. You hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sewers. Dr. Costello stated service division is presently installing restrictors in the catch basins to limit the inflow, and the sandbags will be eliminated. Atkins Beach report is being reviewed to stop flooding.
We're losing you, Bill.
Right?
There, okay. I couldn't hear the last statement you made.
Atkins Beach report is being reviewed. Director Costello, anything additional?
Well, we did have permission from Board of Control this evening to begin televising in the West 227 pump station area, which is a precursor to the EPA planning project that City Council also approved. So thank you for your support in that regard. We'll continue moving forward using the sewer metering data that we collected all summer. So we'll be looking forward to that loan paperwork landing for us in mid-December and moving forward with the existing data, possibly adding some data, for example, the televising that we'll be doing between now and then, as well to that already collected meter data. So thank you, Councilman Minnick, for bringing that up. It's really important to continue to advise our community that we're moving forward and we're not going to stop until we have some resolution. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. I move that this issue remain in committee. Brian,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes,
Sarah,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
myself, yes. Okay, last item on the agenda is Fairview Park Codified Ordinance 1325.05, garbage receptacles. Our last meeting, the administration was going to check with other communities reference to their legislation, which is on file. Mayor, do you have anything to add to that, or Director Costello, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I know Director Costello did look into some of the local municipalities to see what type of regulations and ordinances they have. And Director, if you want to share that with the committee, if that's okay with the chair.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mayor. So we looked at North Olmsted, Lakewood, Brook Park, and there are some themes in the communities. Some of those communities, like Lakewood and Brook Park, have the director of public service or public safety service make the rules, and they're posted. North Olmsted does not allow rubbish cans or dumpsters, so very strict, I think, to be in the front yard. So when I compared those rules, Lakewood was very vague about their rules. Their rules said that the placement of refuse cans are to be made to promote collection efficiency and the protection of the quality of neighboring properties. So I couldn't find anything that really directed their residents as to where to store it. So just as a review for the city of Fairview Park, all garbage receptacles when not stored within a permanent building or structure shall not be visible from the front property line or the side property line if on a corner lot, nor placed closer than 10 feet from any side property line, and no closer than 5 feet from a rear property line, unless the garbage receptacles are screened from view. And so when I looked at that, it was far more clear to help residents understand the requirements, I felt, and still general enough so that Building Commissioner Maynard can enforce this, keeping in mind we have many different types of residential parcels, from from very close property lines at the side to very long ranch style property lines. So in considering the very varied and different properties that the commissioner has to work with, I feel that our code, it allows him the proper enforcement, but also gives our residents some very good guidance. And that was surprising to me. So I appreciated the hard work of this body and those previous two current members to offer us very good, solid legislation for our building department to follow. And I don't know if there's anything else that Mayor Cooney would like to add.
Mr. Maynard, have any input?
No, nothing to add to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Costello.
You're welcome.
I move that this issue remain in committee pending additional information from the administration. Brian,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Council President Pro Tem,
This
point of
concludes
order.
My environment, public works, planning, and zoning development.
Council President Pro Tem.
Council Clerk Westbrook.
Point of order. I'm just wanted to check because I was working on 1,000 different things. Did you take a vote for the ordinance, the first ordinance?
No, I did not. Sorry, I can. This time I'll actually, I'll take the vote now. The issue remain in committee. Brian,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Councilman Minnick, may I ask a question? So next Monday at 6, there's going to be a hearing about this, but then
Right.
this will also be in the zoning and development committee on November 18th. So the community will have 2 different opportunities to have their opinions known. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You kind of,
I think he tossed it to you, Bridget, to start.
Okay. All right, so the Finance Committee will begin at 7:34 p.m. First up is Ordinance 2039, authorizing the application and administration for the 2021 TLCI Planning Grant. We do need to make a correction on this one in Section 6. The year was wrong. We need to change the year to 2021. Does anyone else have anything about this planning grant?
Councilwoman King,
Yes.
I think the year is 2020.
I thought we were changing it to 2021.
No, because I think it's for the submission of the application. It's incorrect, and that would be this year.
Okay, so we have to change it to 2020. Okay.
I have a quick question, real quick, and this is kind of about the 3 ordinances. Mary Kay, I know you told me that the slideshows are going to be on the city website. I tried searching and I was not able to find the individual slides. I'm not sure if I'm just really bad at navigating the city's website or maybe they're not up yet. But I was just hoping I could get a copy of those because there's some people in those neighborhoods. I want to make sure they see them.
Absolutely. We'll email them to all of City Council, Councilmember Berger, and we'll make sure that they're on the website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or anything on ordinance 2039? All right, seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to put this on third read and final passage then. Brian,
Yes.
Bill? Maureen,
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
I will vote yes, and Greg?
Yes.
All right. Next up is Ordinance 2041, authorizing the application and administration of the 2020 County Cdeg Municipal Grant Program. And this was part of Monica's presentation last week for sidewalks in the southeast portion of Fairview Park. Does anyone have anything on this? All right. Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to put this on second and subsequent third read. Brian,
Yes.
Bill? Bill, is that a yes? Okay, Maureen,
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
I will vote yes. Greg?
Yes.
Okay. Next one is Ordinance 2042, authorizing the application and administration of the 2021 County Cdsg program, which was proposed for sidewalks in Balkan Park. Does anyone have anything on this? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to put this on second and subsequent third read. Brian,
Yes.
Bill, Maureen,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
me, yes, and Greg?
Yes.
Okay, then the next two kind of go together. Ordinance 2043 is placing a fire levy renewal on the May 2021 ballot. And then Resolution 2016 is requesting county to certify fire levy renewal 2021 through 2025. Currently our levy will expire at the end of this year. I will ask Fire Chief Raffin to join us at our next committee to discuss this if we have any questions or anything like that, since this was just on first read. So I'd like to make a motion to keep this, put this for second read and leave it in committee for Ordinance 2043. Right.
Excuse
Yeah.
me, Bridget. I'm
Yes.
sorry, before you go, I just wanted to double check. Is there a timeline on this? So I know if we have it on second now, it's on first, we put it back to committee. So we'll have a second reading, another committee meeting. What is the timeline to get this onto the ballot? Do we know that, or is that something that Chief Raffin can explain to us next week?
No, I know Liz knows that answer.
Okay, so the deadline for primary next year is February 3rd. It has to be filed by February 3rd. So assuming there's nothing crazy going on, that should be fine. But this particular, well, really any levy, there are several steps to it. So basically you'll have to pass the ordinance and then you send it to the auditor, the county treasurer. They give you a certificate of some kind, and then you can proceed with passing the resolution. And it may very well happen where they can both be still passed at the same time. Well, no, that's not true, because you have to have the certificate in order, because the last time we actually had to repeal everything because we did not do this correctly. But you have to pass the ordinance. We pass them both at the same time. So you have to pass the ordinance. They send the certificate, which you should get within 10 days, it says. And then you file the resolution, or you pass the resolution. And there's another certificate, I believe, that takes place after that before I can actually go file it with the Board of Elections. But that should still all be able to be done way before the filing deadline.
Okay, thank you. Having that perspective helps me to, really judge how fast or how slow this can move and how many questions we can still have after next committee meeting, if we still have them. Thank you.
So Liz, resolution 2016 then will remain in committee until we have a certificate from ordinance 2043.
Correct.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I have a question, and I think I want to point to what the clerk said. If nothing crazy goes on, it should be fine. And I think that's I agree. If nothing crazy goes on with the Board of Elections, we shouldn't have a time problem. I think, what we would like is for both the ordinance and the resolution to be, have the readings and then hold the resolution in abeyance before final passage. And then once we get the certification back from the treasurer, ask the council then would proceed with the passing of the resolution. And I may have missed that if that was the intent and how council wanted to proceed. But I guess my concern is that there are problems with the Board of Elections with all of what else going on with this current election. Hopefully there won't be. We just want to make sure that we're not in a time crunch at the end. So I just wanted to point that out. I agree with the clerk in that, we have to wait for the certification from the treasurer before we could proceed with the passage of for the council could proceed with the passage of the resolution.
Okay.
So thank you.
Sure. All right, so I would like to make a motion for ordinance 2043 to go on second read and to remain in committee. Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
I will vote yes, and Greg?
Yes.
Okay, then resolution 2016, placing the fire levy on the May ballot. I would also like to put this on second read and remain in committee then. I'd like to make a motion for second read, remain in committee. Brian,
Yes.
Bill, Maureen,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
I will vote yes, and Greg?
Yes.
Okay, and that's all for the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee will end at 7:43 p.m.
The commission report, Brian?
Like I said, the Rec Commission will meet this Wednesday, October 28th at 6 p.m. at the Gemini Center. That's all I have for that.
Thank you. Maureen?
No, nothing to share. Thank you.
Just an update on the schools. Obviously, issue 72, their levy is on the ballot this coming year, and that's very important to us as a city. But also, I just wanted to state the school's plan. This past Thursday, Cuyahoga County was indicated to be a red county in regards to COVID, meaning that our cases were going up. The schools have chosen to remain in hybrid mode, regardless of the elevation to red. And if that changes, I will let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Bridget, anything?
Nothing for boards and commissions.
Greg?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
The Planning Design Commission met on the 21st. They approved lot split consolidations for 20747 Eastwood Avenue and 21420, 21430 Lorraine Road. Roundtable, Brian, do you have anything for roundtable?
Not tonight.
Lorraine?
I just wanted to ask Director Costello, if I may, could you please remind me what the time frame is for the work being done on 220?
Correct. That's a Dominion East Ohio project, and they're going to be working for the next couple months, probably into February, the first part of 2021. Then they'll be back in the late spring, early summer to finish concrete work. So you'll see 2 phases of that work going on. It involves a lot of service line replacement. So they're going to have, in addition to what construction you see now in the road, they're going to be boring new service lines under the sidewalk area, tree lawn area, and providing new services to homes, requiring them to go into every home. So there's going to be a lot of work that you're going to see, a lot of equipment in the road and a lot of traffic backups. So thank you for bringing it up. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the update. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, anything?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Bridget, anything for roundtable?
Yes, thank you. I've had several discussions this fall with Mayor Cooney, and last week I had a meeting with Mayor Cooney, Walt, and Monica, and then I met with Mr. Graff, one of the high school art teachers, and I'm very pleased to tell you about a pilot project we are going to launch, and that is bringing art to public spaces. This pilot project will be a mural in Balkan Park. And how it's going to work are the 2 art teachers in the high school are going to work with the students, and they are going to come up with 6 mural ideas for Balkan area, and council and administration will pick one. And then when the temperature is over 50 degrees in spring, they will work on it. And once it's complete, we will reevaluate this and see about student participation and the community support to see if we can spread this through other parks and other areas of the community. This idea is going to start as a mural, but it's not limited to that. Some other ideas we were thinking about would be to continue decorating or putting art in the RTA shelters down Lorraine Road, possibly the school crossing guard booths, possibility of the painting on the empty storefront windows, but leaving enough room so that police and fire can still see in. Possibly updating bike racks or creating new ones. Garbage cans and recycling bins in the park. Those are just some of our ideas. We are completely open to more, but this will be a pilot project to see how everything works out. And that's all. Thank you.
Fantastic, Bridget. Greg, you have anything for roundtable?
Just said I hope everyone has a safe and happy Halloween.
Liz, anything for roundtable?
I don't see her in here unless she's this other phone number, but there was an email received from Doreen Papachik,
Right.
who wanted to, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the email on my other screen here. She wanted to go on the agenda tonight to ask about sidewalk replacement project / tree removal on Belvedere. So I don't know if if maybe Director Costello, if you want to speak to that in case she. Oh,
Hello.
okay. Hello.
Hello,
Okay.
I'm Doreen.
Oh, Mrs. Peppinger?
Should I go ahead and speak?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, Council.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Doreen Papachek. I am a citizen of Fairview Park for 6 years. I happen to be on the Shade Tree Advisory Committee, but I am not representing them. I am asking questions as an individual citizen. Thank you for your time. My concern is tree removals in the sidewalk replacement grant. And I'm reiterating, as Mayor Cooney said earlier today, there is a different focus now. There is a change in respect to urban planning. I'm concerned about the trees that are coming down. Our city, Fairview Park, received money from the Cuyahoga County Tree Canopy Grant, if I'm correct, with the intention to preserve the tree canopy, particularly of mature trees. The healthy, mature, and producing trees benefit the citizens and the community, not just the human species, but the birds, the mammals, the pollinators, in terms of stopping stormwater control, heating and cooling, property values, making the city more desirable, as well as mental and physical benefits. Here we have another taxpayer-funded grant for sidewalk replacement with planned removal of 34 trees with replacement of 1 tree per tree. We have an obligation in Fairview Park to consistently assure that our values are in tune with the earlier decisions. And we have to make sure that this council decision has been given the due diligence to see that this grant is in line with Cuyahoga County grant of tree canopy. I just have a few questions, and I will ask the questions and then I will step aside. This grant, I was wondering if was the Shade Tree Advisory Committee consulted, since trees were going to be potentially removed? And if not, why is there an advisory tree program? The other question is, what other options were considered besides tree removal? Did the independent arborist Jason Knowles rate the trees on the recent tree survey? Are they rated healthy and adding to our forest canopy, or was there a structural issue that caused them to be removed, or that caused the decision to remove them? I drove through Shaker Heights and Cleveland Heights today and other cities, and I see big trees on tree lawns, majestic. As Mayor Cooney said, it is a different time now. We are looking at things differently. It's time that we change our perspective in urban planning, and how can we more value the healthy trees? I think that Fairview Park can be a leader in this. I thank you for your time. I will stay if you have questions, but otherwise I'll listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Service Development Director Costello, you want to answer the questions?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. So Doreen Tapachek did mention 2 separate grants. The Urban Canopy Grant, which is funding Jason Knowles' study of our community, the soils, the proper tree lawn species, so that we plant the correct species. In the past, many species of trees were used that were very tough trees. They grew in any type of circumstance. And if some of us recall, a lot of people used to use all kinds of fertilizers. And I think that's been reduced now as people have become aware of how fertilizers work. But back in the day when certain species were chosen, they were just chosen to grow, and no matter what the plows threw on them. And so that's what we see a little bit in a separate grant. It's not the Urban Tree Canopy Grant, but a separate municipal grant. It was granted last year. And that's applying sidewalk improvements to Belvedere, Stanford, the west side of Northwood, and the west side of Eastwood, west of 210. So as we looked at making these sidewalk improvements, we noticed that the hazards being created were from existing tree lawn trees. These very, very large species of trees that exhibited intense girdling of the roots, so much so that they were causing the sidewalk blocks to raise and create trip hazards. Now, if we were to follow through with the grant and replace those sidewalk blocks, we would have to cut those tree roots. And these trees, for the most part, 99% of these trees are at a very end of life situation. Taking that many girdled roots out from underneath those trees would not be a very wise decision. As we walked through this project multiple times, we realized that we needed to let the homeowners make that decision. They were the ones that were maintaining these tree lawns with almost miraculous efforts. Like I can't, some of these tree lawns are just a gnarled mess of tree roots. So we sent surveys to each of the homeowners that had tree lawn trees. We sent letters to the rest of the residents explaining to them what the project was in this zone. And 34 residents did respond that they would like to have a new tree lawn tree species as directed by Jason Knowles to replace the existing tree. And just as on a personal note, as we walked through the 3 different times that we walked through the project, I can't tell you how many dropped limbs I noticed, how many trees exhibited signs of stress, with prolific growth at the bottom of the tree and sucker growth and just really overt signs of stress. And so we felt that it was very important, since this municipal grant was applied for to improve the safety and walkability of this neighborhood. We felt it was very important to give those homeowners the option of planting a more appropriate species of tree. And so it came down to being a safety, health, and welfare issue that was very important to us. I did report to the STAT committee at their October 8th meeting about this. I can't speak to whether or not they were conferred with at the time of this grant, but certainly there was no intent to keep this from anyone. We hope to always include our STAC committee members. They do a very valuable service for us, and we appreciate the value of tree lawn trees. One of the best attributes of tree lawn trees is extending the life of the asphalt that they shade. And to me, that's a really critical, important use of our resources to extend the life of our roadways. So I hope that everyone on STAC and everyone that participates understands that we are always open for that input. However, in this specific case, when it's a health, safety, and welfare issue, and the homeowners have approved this and supported our efforts, that we'll always move forward with the proper response, so that we keep our community safe and thriving. So thank you for allowing me, Chair, some time to explain how we got to that decision. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and there was a number of people that I've talked to, and actually, Lauren, if you were out, I think I may have even seen you looking at these trees. If you were there, if you had a white hat on, I saw someone standing around looking at the trees, maybe like an hour before this meeting started. And some of the comments from some of the people in the neighborhood is a lot of people appreciate them, the program and how it's at least the intended use. Specifically, I know personally a few of the people that are participating in it, and they have large trees, and their biggest concern was regarding branches that drop because they have children. And there's one particular strip where there's like a couple of larger trees, and there's a few limbs, and at least once a year there is a good sized tree limb that comes down. And then also the tree is tall enough that if it were to ever fall, it's tall enough to hit a house. Because there was actually a tree that fell in the target area this week, which it almost hit a car, but it actually got caught by another tree. The odds of how it kept upright is really remarkable. But that was a comment that several people had made to me regarding this, is that they're glad they're not gonna have to worry about branches coming down when their children are on the sidewalk, if they're riding their bikes or what have you. So a lot of people have been appreciative of it, at least that I've talked to.
Mr. Chairman, if I can.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I would agree with Ms. Papachek as to all the benefits that she cited with respect to urban tree canopies, and especially here with in Fairview Park. A couple of the things that we talked about earlier today. And Mary Kay mentioned the benefit it provides to asphalt. We have these sewer issues. More trees will we'll need some of this water will address those issues, and honestly, and obviously the health and safety of our environment. The benefit it provides to our environment. We actually are, and Mary Kay can correct me, I think we're have one of the largest tree canopies in Cuyahoga County.
We're the top 5 acreage in parks for the Cuyahoga County. We beat out Strongsville and very large Independence, very large communities. And we're right in the middle for our tree canopy, as according to the Cuyahoga County data book. So we will continue to move forward with planting trees. Absolutely. It's an important priority. Yes.
Right. So with this program this grant, which is also a county grant, we're looking at ways that we can add to our canopy. The Shade Tree Advisory Committee is a big part of that, and advocating for this and educating our residents. They had the Most Valuable Tree program that they had this fall. I know they had it in the past. Quite frankly, that brought my attention to trees that I may not have noticed in the past. I know they were at our shredding event. Again, spreading the news as to the benefits that trees have in our community. So, we are looking to add to it. We're looking to add trees that are gonna not have these end of life issues, create the dangers that they have. I know with respect to this area that we're talking about where this current grant is going on, those tree lawns are not very large. There are other, that's one of the things when Jason Knowles looking at, if you do have bigger tree lawns, you can have different species of trees. So we want to be smart about what we're doing going forward. And I really appreciate Ms. Papachek's efforts on behalf of the committee. I know she said she's talking on behalf of herself today, but she's been an advocate for the committee. And I know personally, I've talked to her a number of times. She's, and we appreciate her efforts, and we are looking for ways to add to our parks, to our tree lawns, and to other public places, that would be, again, beneficial for all the reasons that she cited earlier. And I know this grant was put together last year, so I'm not familiar with the particulars of it. Going forward, we will look at those type of issues and look for input from concerned residents about these issues. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Anything additional? Papachek, you satisfied?
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time and the discussion. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your volunteer to be on the Shade Tree Commission.
Yeah.
That concludes the meetings. At this time, the chair moves to go into executive session for city charter, Article 15, Section 3 and 5, for the purpose of conferences with the attorney, public body, concerning disputes involving the public body, is subject to pending or imminent court action. Items required to be kept confidential in federal law or rules or state statutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. We're in executive session.